What's happening, people? PapaBiz here, guys. Good to be back. Good to be back. It's been another week that's gone by, and yeah, actually, I've invited a guest. I think you guys will, you guys are in for a treat with him. His name's Lihle, and I know he'll be joining soon. But yeah, I just thought somebody just a bit different, just to have a discussion around a property. He's quite a young person as well, and yeah, I think it'll just be good to engage and just to hear and share more of the story. I think that the more we are able to just partake within ourselves, I mean, the more we're able to learn and to move forward as well. So cool. Let me just make sure that I'm able to just add him here. Olatunja is in. Nice one. Good to see you there. Let me just make sure I can just add Lee Clear. Just give me a second, guys. Okay. As well. Cool, man. No, this is going to be a pretty good session. I think as we start off, you'll see exactly why some is so young, and I think just we'll be able to have just an honest conversation. Lihle, I see you in. How's it?
I'm good, man. In the south?
No, I'm excellent, man. I see you even there with the glasses and everything, making sure that we focused. I like it.
There's no other way, man.
Nah, cool, man. No, welcome, man. I mean, obviously, we had a little chat before. I see Leah's joined as well. Nice one there. We had a little chat before, and yeah, no, I'm quite I'm keen with the discussions that we're going to be having. Obviously, I mean, I'll let you know. I mean, I saw as well. You were also featured quite some time back. I think it was 2019 on the Property Magicians podcast, and yeah, I'd gotten to listen to a little bit of your story, your engagement. I mean, I know I was there 2020, and I've just been reaching out and connecting with like-minded individuals. And when I listened to what you had to relay, I thought, you know what, this is something where we should actually get together and have a chat. So now we're doing it today. Nice one.
Thank you so much for inviting me, man. Being here means a lot to me. When you told me that, you are keen on inviting me, I'm one of those guys who never say no to sharing my piece of knowledge, my little part in the world, and being able to influence other people and help other people be able to create wealth and learn about property, get to understand the possibilities that are there. So I saw you hosting Dr. Mom Miranda the other day, and I enjoyed being part of the conversation and just listening. And thank you so much for the work you are doing, man. You're doing great stuff, and I'm happy that you thought of me today.
No, cool, man. Nice one. I see we've got quite a lot of new entrants, Kebas there, Hetties there, Leah's there. Guys, you're welcome, man. And make sure if you've got any questions that you want to pass this way through to us or for Lihle specifically, you can just put it through. I mean, look, Lihle, I think I'll just get, if I can just do a quick introduction for you and just, what resonated with me. I think the first thing, and I think you can answer that because when I first listened to your story, I was in 2019 and you were 23 at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was 23.
Okay, so you're pushing 25 now. You're almost old now, isn't that it?
Yeah, man. I hate saying I'm going to turn 25, but I feel like, I keep saying to people I'm 23 or I'm 24 because, yeah, man, I think I've got too used to this thing of being a youngster, doing things. Now, and I'm struggling to accept that my age is actually, I'm turning 25 soon,
No, that's fine. And I think what made quite an impact with me is, obviously, like with business and even in property, things can work out very nicely or things can not work the way that we planned. But it hit me that time when I listened, I mean, you were 23 and you had signed 3 property deals that time in 2019, obviously with different mentors and different partners. But at the time, one didn't actually make sense. But then the other 2, as they'd gone through, I mean, you were pretty much set to have 2 projects that were going to be providing about 270,000 Rand per month of gross monthly income from those 2 buildings. Now, I mean, when I listened to that, and I was just like, wow, I mean, this is something different. I mean, I don't know how things obviously transpired in 2020 and 2021, but I mean, that's some balls.
Yeah.
So perhaps maybe you can just start off and, you know, don't have to go into the whole story, but how did you even get into property?
So, I come from a township, first, the most important thing, right? Where, the richest guy, the person who was winning was always the gangster, because he drove the best cars, he got all the women, and, he had the respect, the dignity and whatever. And, when you grow up in the township, you start thinking this is cool, right? And until you get exposed to life in town, you get exposed to seeing and learning about wealth, and you understand that we grew up in township and we didn't realize that there was something wrong. We thought this was cool,
Yeah.
right? Until we actually got exposed to life in town, to all the different other segments that form part of what you call wealth, right? So my mother then, because I told her one day I'm going to be a rich guy. I don't know when, but I'm going to be a rich guy. And I had so much interest in being rich. And my mom bought me the book, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Right.
That was about in grade 7, hey?
That was in grade 7, yeah. So when I read that book, I learned that firstly, there's something wrong with school. Right? So, and then the second thing I also learned from the book was that, this thing of wealth is possible. You can do it, right? Right? And it's possible for anyone if I could change my thinking. So that was one of the first things, is that I learned that, the wealth was there, the possibilities are there, but I had to first start by changing my thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then from grade 7, I then started, reading books. All my money was spent on books. In grade 10, I started working at Spar. And when I started working at Spar, I was a packer, right? And all the money was spent on books, seminars, attending seminars, meeting different people, meeting business people, and, people were winning in my city, right? And the whole aim was to expose my system into the life I wanted to live. Now, by grade 12, so actually from grade 10, I started negotiating with my parents that, guys, I want to drop out of school because, school is not for me, right? And, just like every parent, who loves his child, you want your child to have credentials, you want your child, to have the best of education, you want your child to have a safe future. Not that you don't believe that they could be multimillionaires or whatever, but you want them to have something to fall back on.
For the future, yeah, something as a backup as well, yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't my fate, man. I never wanted something to fall back on. I never wanted plan Bs. I only wanted my plan, and my plan was my plan. My plan was my strategy. And my strategy was, I'm going to hang around the richest people in my town, and I'm going to learn from them, and I'm going to copy them. When I hang around the richest people in my town, I'm going to learn from them, and I'm going to copy them. Copy them as much as I can, right? And in grade 12, halfway through the year, I told my parents, I'm not doing this anymore. Not going back to school. In fact,
I remember when I was listening to you when you said that, and I mean, I think, especially with myself and a lot of people like within my network, I mean, that type of life or even possibility, that's quite anathema to us. That's like, whoa, what happened there? But I also got to see, I mean, just with you, is that I think one of the almost unfair advantages that you actually end up with as well is that, when you leave so early and you invest so much time in books, is that you're seeing that, look, if there's a problem within the school system where the school system is not going to teach us how to actually, get rich and get wealth and so on, then what is the point of attaching myself to the school system? And therefore, then you actually completely focused on everything else that will actually lead directly to wealth and riches and things like that, if that makes sense.
Yes. That's the thing, man. It's that our educational system is not conducive for us. Because you must remember, the word education means to draw potential. It means it's derived from a Greek word that means educere or educere, which means to draw out potential from within. But then I go to school and I'm listening to teachers tell me how we should live life, instead of awakening the giant, the genius inside me, right? So that's the thing about school. So I was like, this is not the place for me. I was never a kid. In school, I never did homeworks. I never did, assignments. All those stuff were weird to me. I always told my teachers they were weird. I would rather take the punishment than learn something that wasn't relevant. Right. In fact, I figured that I was learning far more from property seminars than I was in school. So I told my parents that the money you are spending in school, maybe you should just give me the money and let me spend it on seminars and mentors, coaches, programs, so that I can learn the skills, so that I can have the wealth that I want to have. Right. So after I dropped out, I have the best of parents in the world. I had the best of parents in the world. Why? Because my parents believed in me. My parents allowed me to follow my heart. My parents allowed me to follow my dreams. Right. Actually, this strategy I was planning with my friends. I had 4 friends in high school, best friends of mine, and we were all set to quit school, but their parents didn't allow them. Right. And some were even threatened for some reason that, I don't have a child who's not gonna finish school, and whatever, and otherwise you're gonna have to leave my house, right? But at my home, I was supported, right? And after that, I started working for rich people in my city for free. I looked for rich people that I could serve for free, right? So I went to people telling them, listen, please teach me this business skill so that I can be able I'll work for you for free in exchange for the skill, right? And I kept pitching this for 5 years after I dropped out. And this was my only strategy, man. I did not have planned. This was the only way I was going to succeed, right? And eventually I found a mentor, someone who was willing to invest in me, their time and their resources in me. Now, guess what? Before that, I met, I had someone who paid a 3,000 Rand course for me for free.
I recall that around the legacy, and I think maybe just to touch on that quickly. I mean, I think you mentioned that you used to go to quite a bit of seminars. I mean, what type of seminars were these, eh?
So I attended property-related seminars, wealth-related seminars, sales seminars. I attended just about every business event that was happening in my city, man. Right. Because the thing is, for me, I knew that my breakthrough is in me being in this environment. You must remember, one of my teachers said that we are products of 2 things. You are a product of decisions, or you are a product of environment. So at that time, I wasn't fit enough to make the decisions because I did not have the money, I did not have the resources. So then I went to environments that were conducive for me. Right. And then this mentor of mine has a very interesting phrase. He says that in a tree, not all the fruits become ripe at the same time.
Yeah.
But as long as the fruit sticks to the branches of the tree, the fruit, will see its day of being ripe. But the minute it leaves the branch or the environment that is conducive for its ripeness, it forfeits its destiny. So which means for me, because I couldn't make the decisions, I did not have the resources, I did not have the money, I hanged around with the winners. So I wanted to always find out what is happening in my city, what works in my city, even though I did not have the money, did not know the right people, but I went into the environments first. And it is in those environments where someone then saw something in me and said, listen, I see that you are serious, and I'm going to buy your ticket for 3,000 Rand. A total stranger. And then a few months later, as I kept attending, another stranger paid close to 9,000 Rand for me to attend another meeting. Total strangers again, right?
And I think that's the key, right? If I can just jump in there, is that, and that's why I even titled this thing in terms of using other people's money. And I mean, just using it as a basic. I mean, just from the first point, around the legacy seminars that you're attending. I think what I got from there is, I mean, you were there. I mean, you were there. Even some of the other sessions, even like with Sappin and so on, where it would be required, where it's $300 for each night. You'd be there, even if you didn't have the money, and you let them know, look, I don't have the money. I'll just stand outside. But I mean, you're able
Yeah.
to listen and gain through the knowledge, and you know, somebody's actually able then to see. But you know, this young person is actually like thirsty for knowledge, and I think, you know, if I just look there, I mean, that's what I got in terms of even that first person just saying, you know what, I've got people who've actually got the resources, they've got the time, they're earning money, and they don't want to attend to learn and grow themselves. But you, yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, if you want to, then I mean, why don't you just come with me? Because I mean, I've got an extra ticket. Would you be happy? And I think that was the first part where I saw. But I mean, that's something different that you're doing, which is that you're using other people's money now, isn't it?
Yeah. So now so that's the thing. So now talking about other people's money, you know, I always say I even said it in the meeting before this one, right? That, you know, whatever you want in life, you know, someone else has the mindset, the mental capacity. Whatever you want in life, someone else has it in their possession, right? Whatever you want in life, someone has it in their pockets. But the difference between you getting that falls down in your ability to ask intelligently. Now, before you ask, you need to learn the skill of asking, which is basically sales, right? Which means, you know, I usually say there are 5 forms of leverage in property. You get other people's mind power, other people's manpower, other people's time, other people's marketing, and ultimately other people's money. Other people's money, you know, comes as a result of you having majored on the first 4. Because there's no way I'm going to give you my money if I don't know you. Right. There's no way I'm going to give you my money if I don't believe you have the brain power. Right. So that's one of the first things people need to realize. It's that the property business, it's about people. Right. And the people who succeed in property succeed because they are very good at selling / or communicating their ideas, right, to people. Right. You know, when you listen to someone, you know, every single day I make sales calls, an average of 20 to 40 phone calls, doing sales calls for my mentorship program and so forth. And one of the questions I ask people is, why aren't you invested in property today? What's the stumbling block? And do you know what are the first 2 words? It's I don't. I don't have money. I don't have 3 months bank slips.
Don't have money, I don't have time. It's so common.
I don't have time. Yeah, it's all these things. And it's got everything to do with me. But what is the game about? It's about people. It's all about people.
And I think it's also just key, you know, I saw earlier, I mean, it's understanding, especially, like you said, I mean, when one doesn't have time, that's when you need to invest more time. And if you don't have money, that's when you need to spend time investing actually in more money. You know, just to be able to move along. But I think, I mean, just in terms of even with that lady, I mean, I think that's where it even lent you even to connect with. I think your first mentor that was Rita from Roy and from M5. And I think it was just quite key because I even saw, like, even with myself and just how, you know, my journey changed. You know, when I stuck on board with a mentor quite earlier on, is that, you know, just managed to fast track the learning actually, so that it just became clear, you know, where before and all you see is actually risk. Now you're actually able to see potential and actually opportunities. Yeah, that's what I could see as well.
Yeah, you see, you know, the thing is, you can only succeed in direct proportion to the quality of teachers you have, man. Because the thing is, whether you have a mentor or you don't, you do have a mentor. You do have someone you listen to. You do have someone whose advice you hold dearly, right? If you go to a church, you've got a spiritual leader who's leading you. You go to work, you've got a boss or a manager who's leading you. All different facets of life, there are people you go to for advice. If it's not advice, there are people you go to for them to share some insights. And the thing is, why not get people who are winning? Why not get people who are doing what you want to do, right? So for me, you know, I always say, you know, man, I prefer paying school fees, man, than paying school fees up front, than, you know, thinking I'm too smart for my own liking and, you know, learning the hard way. You know, there are 2 types of people. You get the wise man and you get the genius, right? The genius wants to, learn from his own mistakes, does things all by himself. Yes, they may have the resilience, right, and all of that, but,
But they want to do it by
that's costing you time. Yeah, it's costing you time. It's costing you, money. Ty Lopez says there's 1,200 ways to start a chess game. So do you want to find out what is the best way of starting it? 1,200 times plus 100, someone countering you, or you rather pay a chess master to teach you what's the best way to start a game. You understand? So a wise man hangs around with people who are more intelligent than him, who have more financial brain power than him, who have more mental brain power than him, and therefore, because you are, in this, network of people whose brain power is superior to yours, this energy takes you up to where they are.
Yeah.
That's the power of a mentor. It's that they take, it's not just about, you paying them and whatever. It's about, money is energy, money is frequencies. Money is spiritual, right? And the minute people understand that, you cannot be more wealthier than the quality of people you connect with in your network, right? So for
that's
me,
why I think when you talk about it, it's almost like your one's network actually becomes their net worth, because you actually get to see that specifically, and I think I'd even see it. One of the things that I was thinking of, even like through your having them being mentored by Rita as well, is that I did find quite surprising that the first property deal that you looked into, obviously it didn't work out that first one, but it was really like in the, you weren't even looking in the the smaller numbers, but you went straight to looking into places that cost millions and millions, which is like very, very to what other people even look into, like when they're even thinking about property.
You must remember that in my first meeting, she said to me, look for property deals between 1.5 million to 4 million. And now you must remember me being in that meeting, me asking her to give me her time. I was like, if she says 1.5 million to 4 million, I'm not looking for anything less. I'm not looking for anything below. That's the frequency. That's it. That's the mental capacity that she was seeing that I should be playing at. So I had to raise my level from thinking about 300,000 Rand deals, small deals, township deals, and raise my level of, frequency to this level that she's at.
Yep.
So for me, it was like an opportunity to grow. I did not want to earn 100,000. I wanted to be a multimillionaire. So I was like, you know what? She's seeing millions in me and she's calling them, right? And that's the power of, again, of having teachers. It's that's what they can do for you. They can elevate your faith. You're asking of too little to you asking, what could be your worth,
Yeah.
I was speaking to another, mentor of mine today, and we were speaking about this very same thing. And he was like, actually, I think you're charging too little for your course. And I was like, what? Yeah, I think you're charging too little for your course. It's time you start asking big. And I was like, you think they will pay? It's time you start asking big. Your tribe knows how to afford you. Rolls-Royce doesn't care about people who cannot afford them. Rolls-Royce knows their tribe. Their tribe can afford. You understand what? So it was a thing like that. So now, that's the power of mentors. They push us to change our beings. They push us to change who we are and help us to start earning our worth. They literally, I could go on and on this topic.
Yeah, I know. Just a guide and pull us sometimes when we don't even, and they push us even if we're lying down. And I see we've got actually a question here from Olatunji and another question here from Heti. So Olatunji is asking, thanks for the insights. Who are some of the property mentors that we've learned from, particularly in terms of books, webinars, resources? I think, look, I know some of the people that you work with, but I think what I've seen is also just in terms of the growth that we've seen is that what we actually end up doing now is we actually look to impart that knowledge onto others in a manner that they'd actually understand from everything that we've learned. I know for myself that definitely, obviously, like you've mentioned, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, all the property books, Jason D books, etc. But also, I mean, just in terms of the different seminars, obviously getting a mentor. I mean, I know that my mentor, he doesn't actually partake in mentoring anymore, and things like that. And it's obviously just adding, and I think that's what I've seen as well with you is that, you know, as you've learned, because what happens is that, you know, it's just like a glass, because as you're learning, the glass keeps getting full, and the more it gets full, eventually it overflows. And then as it overflows, that's what happens like with you and I, where we're like, okay, cool, this is what we've learned, this is what we want to share with you guys so that it can save you time as well. Just the journey. I don't know if that's what you picked up as well.
Yeah, you know, yeah, I always recommend Robert Kiyosaki, Jason Lee, you know, and you know, I always say, ultimately, man, you need to find what works for you, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, my journey is not going to be like yours, you know,
Yeah.
and your journey is not going to be like mine. But at the end of the day, what you need to, I always say to be, commit to your craft, right? Commit to your journey. Commit to, so you want to create wealth, commit to your commitments, do what has to be done. For me, I read property books every single day, and every single day, you know, I listen to a podcast on property. Every single day, I contact my mentor. Every single day, those are things I do on a daily basis, right? And the reason why I do those things on a daily basis, because I have a vision that is far more bigger than what is today. There's a certain level of mental frequency I need to reach for me to reach the success I want. Therefore, because there's that, I spend, you know, more money on my head than any other thing.
Yeah, no, that's important. That's key. I mean, and I think, I mean, that leads even into, I see there's another question here from Hetty. She's asking if using the bank is other people's money. Well, look, I think, look, that leads into what I actually wanted to just chat to you about. I mean, obviously, I think that's one means of using other people's money, which is the banks. But I mean, in terms of the one deal, and this is what caught me, and I thought, you know, this would be good just to share with people, because I always like to go into just one deal specifically, and then it helps people understand the mindset required, the examples, and so on. I know that the first one that actually made sense for you in 2019 that you did, it was even with your partner Cohen, is that I think there was a property deal where it was worth about 2.8 million, and you guys negotiated to about 2.1. Can you just talk us through that specific example? I know to something that you guys are looking to convert into student accommodation, etc. Maybe how did you find that place? You know, was it just money that you had aside that you just managed to ball out on this building? And then how did it work itself out? Yeah.
Awesome. So one of the things I did is I went about looking for properties. So talking about how did I find it? First, I went about viewing properties, building relationships with real estate agents, telling them what I'm looking for. And then, I mean, at that time, I used to view an average of 5 to 8, if not 10 properties a day.
Sure.
And I was looking for what I was looking for. And then ultimately, I found this deal. We had about 15 units. If I remember the numbers correctly, 15 units. And we were looking at about 7,000 Rand per unit, right? So that's about 108,000 Rand, you know, rental income, you know. And so that was my first deal. So now those were the numbers. I found a good deal, right? And then the next thing I had to do was to build a business system around a good deal. So in other words, I had to find what can work in the city. Am I speculating? Well, you know, do more of my due diligence around this.
And which city was that in? Was that in Cape Town? Was that Joburg? Was that?
That's Cape Town. Cape Town, Harrow, yeah. So the next thing I had to do was to go and find an investor, right? So I always say there are two types of investors. There's investors who have access to capital and investors who have access to opportunities. So investors who have access to opportunities, right, find good deals, right, or make good deals, and then they build a business system around the good deal. And then, you know, a good system always finds money. That's one of the things my mentor told me. Is that a good deal will always find money as long as the beholder is willing to continually knock on doors. Right? A lot of people, will pitch about 5 investors, 3 investors, and and then that's just it. But then the thing is, how many doors are you willing to knock in to get the word out? Right? I was actually I'm going to come back to answering. I was watching a post recently from Vusi Tembekwayo here in South Africa, one of those big entrepreneurs. Yeah, I like that guy a lot. And he was celebrating a deal that he closed, about a couple of weeks ago. And as I read the passage, there was a point where he said, we've done so many pitches, right, to close this deal. And I was like, a lot of people probably did not, really pay attention to that sentence. Maybe they were celebrating the deal, but the fact that we pitched so many investors to get this deal about our vision, right? So it's one of the most important things. So I went out and about telling people about my vision, what do I have, and then I told it to my mentor, and then my mentor then assisted me with one of the investors that we had, and then the investor then funded the project. Now the investor was also a member of the public. In other words, you get private investors as well. In other words, when the bank cannot give you doesn't want to give you the money, you can always look for private investors, for people who have the know-how or understand the kind of business that you are looking for. So another way of simplifying it maybe is to say, Robert Kiyosaki says there's 4 quadrants, right? So you get the E quadrant, which means you're working for money. S quadrant, you are the money, you are the business system, right? You are self-employed. And then the B quadrant is a business owner. This person owns a business system. So what do we do as property investors with business opportunities? We build business systems that make the property, investable, that make the deal investable or attractive to the man who is in the I quadrant. I quadrant being, an investor who wants their money to work hard for them, right? So now you then make this, find a good deal, build a business system around it, and then pitch an investor, because these investors want their money to work hard for them. So I think I've simplified it in the best way I could in that way.
Okay, now that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, that place, I think you said it was about 15 units, eh?
Yeah.
And then that was in Cape Town. So, like, what type of was it like normal residence? Was it like student accommodation you guys ended up doing?
Awesome. So now the property was actually, a commercial property, right? So it's a property that was in a building block, right? Where residents are staying, where, there was the flats and so forth and so forth. And then now the property was previously tenanted by, the police. It was a police station. Yeah. So now the police felt that the offices were too small for them, and then they moved out. And then, now this guy, it was a commercial building, and this guy did not have a tenant to put in. And then, I came out and they said, listen, this is what we've got, and we can offer you 2.1 million. And the guy was like, I mean, this is actually this is how the story went. Actually, my mentor said to me, offer an amount that you are ashamed of offering. Now you can imagine, from 2.8 million, I told Rafika, who's actually one of the best people I've ever worked with. I enjoy working with her a lot, right? So she the first time I put an offer in, they said, she asked, how much are we putting in? And I said 2 million. But no, the seller is not going to accept 2 million. Blah, blah, blah. 2 million. Go and make it happen. 2 million, right? And guess what? She went, and when she called me, what moved me that day was the fact that on the very same day I put in an offer, she came back with an answer and said, Lihle, yes, I know you said 2 million, but the guy, we agreed on 2.1 million. 2,150,000 rand to be exact. And I was like, dude, you did a good job, and you actually think you disappointed me or disappointed me. You
I
know,
think that's key. So even what I found as well is like with some of my mentees as well is that there's also that mindset that mindset block in terms of the type of offer to give. But I mean, I know it's like emotional and so on, but you actually need to remove the emotion out and make a calculated decision. And you never know unless you make that lower offer to see what they'd actually be able to take. And I actually like that line. I'm going to use it. Is to actually make an offer that you'd actually be ashamed of. I mean, we've been working. I've got a partner. Like we've been working on a building project for some time now that we've been assessing, and even as we're finalizing the offer. I mean, it's also the same thing now where you're looking at it and saying, but I mean, if we looked at all of the costs and everything that's going to be involved, I know this is what the seller is expecting, but we're going nowhere near close that because you've got to look at the numbers. You've got to look at the numbers and see what's going to make sense, and they can say yes or they can say no. I mean, it's not that much of a big deal, and then you just move forward from there, isn't it?
Yes, because property is a numbers game. I say the same thing to my coaching clients, bro. That always remember you buying this property from a business perspective. You're not buying it because what I'll tell you a funny story. Right? So I sourced a deal for someone a couple of months ago, and after I sourced this deal, the seller said in front of Rafika said, "Listen, I don't want to speak to anybody else. Let me speak directly to the buyer." And I was like, "Oh damn!" I was covering and shielding the buyer all the time, but now the seller wants to speak directly, and he doesn't want us to be involved. And guess what? The buyer agreed that we couldn't be involved. Guess what happened? They sold the property to the buyer, even their own frames and paintings and what. And guess how they sold it? By doing emotional based selling. And I was like, man, you forgot the mission. The mission is that you're buying the property on an investment as an investment. Buying furniture and their luxury stuff wasn't part of the plan. Right? And guess what? The dude ended up spending 600,000 rand more than what he actually. And then I was like, you allowed him to negotiate me out, so I couldn't do anything.
But I guess that's the name of the game. I mean, it's because I see that as well. Is that if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be rich, you need to know how to sell. And if you want to be truly wealthy, you need to be able to know how to pitch and to be able to use other people's money. Because other people's money, I mean, it is there, but it's not just going to come to you. I mean, you've got to give them a reason. And I think just in terms of what we've been talking about is that when we're looking at a property, especially like these type of investments, is if one can be able to package and showcase, how, even that they will make more money by doing, what we're actually showing. Then, I mean, it starts to become a more interesting conversation. And obviously, there's nuance, skills around, how to show and how to communicate that. But it's key to be able to learn, those skills if you actually want to move forward. Yeah.
I always say property investors are salespeople, but if people always say, "Nah," I'm like, property investors are sales. That's what we are. We sell our ideas to people. Remember what I said? It's our ability to sell or communicate our ideas that helps us have access to the 5 forms of leverage of property. You cannot access other people's money if you cannot convince. Selling is a way of life, And that's one of the basic things that every entrepreneur or aspiring property investors needs to understand, that your ability to be able to communicate and sell your ideas directly influences, right, the quality of deals you'll be closing.
Yeah.
Because if and selling is a very people don't understand this thing of what do you mean when we say about selling. Selling is all about persuasion. It's about convincing someone. Right. Now,
and it's even done. It's in the same way. When we talk to somebody, I think people overcomplicate it. It's the same way when we talk to somebody about a really great movie. Like, you don't actually think that you're selling. I mean, listen, dude. I watched Black Panther like 8 times in like a period of a month, and I told everybody to go watch this movie. But I didn't think that I was selling. just, that's what happens, is that hey, guys, you've got to go and do this, because you can see and you can feel, because I do find sometimes, like with professionals, because I engage like with a lot of professionals, especially around property, and it's something where sometimes it is a bit of a stumbling block in terms of seeing themselves selling. And it's like, yes, you're a salesperson, but like, I mean, you do it all the time. You're always selling something. At least here, I mean, especially if you're going to be utilizing other people's money, you've got to be able to say, hey, and package it appropriately to say, this is what's going to make sense. You need to get involved in this, because if you don't get involved in this, somebody else is going to get involved with this, and you're the one who's actually going to lose out.
You see, the thing is, selling is a way of life, man. When we were kids, I usually say there were two sports we grew up playing as young boys. And the first one was that either you were good at getting girls, which is also another way of selling. I mean, you can be good at selling. You get guys. We used to see guys close girls like nobody's business when we were growing up, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was a thing of, I want to be good at selling ideas that secure the bag.
Yeah.
And guess what? Most of the guys who got good with girls, guess what? They've got an abundance in terms of kids. Right. You understand? So selling is a way of, we are always selling, as you say, right? Whether we are aware of it or not, you go to a job. Now check this out. You go to a job, who are you selling? You're selling yourself. And guess what? After you've secured yourself, you sell yourself every day, right? Our ability to be able to sell our ideas influences the quality of job you're going to have. It influences how long we're going to stay there. It influences the quality of relationships you have. It influences the quality of neighborhood you're going to stay in, the quality of partner you're going to get married to, the quality of relationship you're going to have with your kids. It even influences your money, your income. So basically, sales is a way of life. It affects every single aspect of what you do, right? So the thing is now, because when you get, getting married is one thing, but staying married, you have to consistently sell yourself even more so when you are married, right?
No, 100%.
So a lot of people think, selling is about, closing the sale, but you sell yourself even more after you close the sale. You got to deliver, right? So, that's why for me, I always say, I will just never stop learning about sales, man. Sales is one thing I'll always learn, because I understand that it influences the kind of properties I can afford. It influences the quality of deals I'll be able to close. My ability to get the seller to accept my low offer is in direct proportion to my ability to sell my ideas. My ability to be able to get an investor to say, yes, I'm going to give you this money for you to buy the project, or to buy a property, or to build whatever project you are working on. I need to be able to sell myself. I need to sell my ideas. And the thing is, I always say to people, when you're speaking about sales, sales is, sales, you're in sales, there's a certain formula to selling your ideas. And I always say that the most important thing is, it's more about, your conviction as a person.
Yeah, and I think it's also important. I mean, I've seen, we've got a comment here even from Umpo. She's saying, like you said, just sell yourself, every day. That's important. I see Hitchy saying, property, it's a numbers game. I saw Mavis was just talking about, as we spoke earlier, the importance of reading and working on our mind. And I think just in terms of sales, I mean, this actually leads quite nicely even into, I know you've done like lots of other deals and stuff, but it's always nice just going through the examples. Is the second one that you actually spoke about was another building. I think that one was also just around 3.6, and you guys got it down to about 2.7. I think you're also looking to do like a student accommodation. So did you do like the same process with that, where you ended up finding an investor to actually fund taking on that deal? Is that a place that's is that building still there now? Is it functional? Those type of things. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, that building is in Belvoir in Cape Town. That building, was we found it as 16 bedrooms, converted into 20, right? Now,
so the 16 and then you converted into 20. Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why we're able to negotiate it from 3.6 million and buy it at 2.7 million was because the building had structural cracks, right? So the building, so we went in there and, you know, we looked at the building, we assessed the building. I learned from my first deal. Remember the first deal I said I did not have a general contractor, right?
Yes,
To come and evaluate the building for me and so forth. So the second one, I'd learned from my mistakes, right? So now, you know, when the general contractor showed up, you know, they gave me quotations that actually you're going to need a lot of money to be able to sort this problem of the structural crack. And then I used that to sell my idea why I believe the building is worth 2.7 million. Actually, I offered 2.5, but they accepted 2.7. Right.
Sure.
For
you offered a 1 million lower.
1 million lower. Because I was ashamed of 2.5. So now on that deal as well, we pitched another private investor again. Now, you know, the same thing as, you know, we attended Zapping and, you know, and we created events. I always say, if you know, this thing of, you either create of events to create opportunities to pitch private, to raise private money, or you attend events that are conducive for you to raise private money. Right? Yeah. So either you join a property network where, you know, there are people who could finance your deal, or you create the opportunity for yourself. Because guess what? What are the big boys doing? They create opportunities for themselves, bro. Old Mutual.
Yeah. We do that all the time.
For them to tell you their ideas, right? They have to create an opportunity. Sanlam, you know, the big property companies, iGrowwealth, you know, the development companies. What do? They create opportunities. They create the platform for themselves, right? So it's very important that we understand that the money is there, but, you know, you need to create capacity for the money you want to have.
No, that's cool, man. So that one, I think when I looked at it, when it was going to come into fruition, that was also going to be a place where the gross rental would have come to about 160,000. Hey.
Yeah. So
how long did you take renovations and things like that for a place like that?
Now that took an average of about 6 to 8 months.
Sure, okay. Average
of about 6 to 8 months. Now this is another thing that I learned, you know, from that deal particularly, you know, it's the fact that, you know, I started, you know, hating on renovations from that deal, right? Why? Because there's holding costs involved.
Yeah.
You're not making money yet, and then if you, I mean, there's certain clauses that we put now for investors, but guess what? Now you're paying an investor for a property that's not making money. For a property that's not yet making money. So now I changed my approach. Now I invest like the banks, bro. I don't play around it. I don't mess with it, right? For me, you know, I want deals that make cash flow from day one. When the bank issues you a mortgage or gives you a loan, you know, they expect you to start paying them within a month's time, and they lock you in for years. Right? So now, as those are the deals that taught me about, you know, investing in deals that produce monthly positive cash flow from day one.
Cash flow from day one.
Day one, bro.
We're on the same page there, and then sometimes like it just takes it's either through mentorship or experience, and then and also I do find, I mean, they're more difficult to find. But, you know, one's able to actually find things that one focuses on, actually, you know. Yeah, and I see we've got a question here from Olatunji. He's just asking, which property class do you find most attractive? In addition, I hear you sharing Cape Town examples. Is that just because you're geographically based or you see value there? Look, I mean, I just asked about those Cape Town examples because I know those are the examples that you'd mentioned on the Property Magicians podcast. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. Do you only focus on Cape Town or do you focus on other areas as well? I mean, myself, I mean, I focus more on Gauteng, Johannesburg, things like that, yeah.
Okay. So for me, I've got properties in Joburg. I've got properties in Durban and Cape Town, right? Okay. And then right now I'm working on venturing to Pretoria, venturing to Port Elizabeth and East London. I basically believe that there's money to be made in property everywhere, man. Right? Yeah. You just need to learn what works for each city build relationships, that can help secure the revenue. There's a formula that I use, basically, right? I always say, always secure contacts, and then after you've secured contacts, secure contracts, right? Contracts,
Yeah.
secure contracts, contracts, secure revenue. Revenue secures wealth. That's my strategy in every city.
Yeah.
So in every city, before I even invest in a property, I build relationships, contacts, key strategic relationships in that city. Then the next thing, I work on securing contracts. Because, this thing was, I'm going to tell you something that I don't like, right? I'm not a very big fan of this thing of, I'm going to sell you this cup and, you give me 30 Rand today, you have the cup and then I can't sell something else to you again. Right.
Yeah.
For me, I want to secure contracts, bro. Lock you in for 1 year, right? Lock you in for 6 months, because that's revenue. Revenue gives me work, right? So that's why I love this formula, right? Contacts secure contracts, contracts secure revenue, revenue secures wealth, right? Because the thing is, and I always like look at the bank, bro. Like, I'm a big fan of the banks. Like, damn, these guys are very smart, man. You think about the fact that these guys, how many times does the bank work to secure revenue for 20 years from you?
Sure.
They work. Right. They only
that's their focus, yeah.
And after that, their revenue, they know they're going to lock you in for 20 years. And that's
that's true, man. I think if I can just come in, I think that's been cool, because I see that our times are running out as well. And with me, I'm really appreciative. I always like to go into specific examples, because one actually gets to understand mindset, but even just as well that if I'm also in that position, what would I need to focus on? Because all of our journeys are different. We're all on a journey, but and nobody will have exactly the same, but we can all learn from each other. So yeah, man, I just wanted to thank you, man. I don't know if there's any last comments that you'd like to leave on your side. Are there any upcoming things that you maybe just want to mention for everybody to know? Or I see there's a comment here from Umpo just saying relationships preach. Yeah, man, I think you've heard it from Lihle. That's true, man. Yeah, so Lihle, I just wanted to let you know if there's any last comments you wanted to leave here for everybody.
For me, man, it's just to say, listen, man, everything is possible, the possibilities are there, the wealth is there, and the wealth is there to be made, and all you need to do is plug yourself into the system, plug yourself, in and around where people are doing big things in your city, plug yourself in and around where people, in around people who are doing big things, in and around people who are operating at the financial, mental frequency that you want to operate at, right? And yeah, that's just about it for me. I'm a big fan of this thing. The people you hang around with, play a major part. The friends I had in grade 7 are not the friends I had in grade 10. The friends I had in grade 10 when I wanted to drop out are not the friends I had when I dropped out. The friends I had when I dropped out are not the friends I had when I got my first 2 deals. The friends I have now are not the friends I had when I was venturing into property. So, a mentor of mine says, if you have the same friends you had 10 years ago, you've not grown. So for me, I'm always working and playing in and around people who are operating at a mental frequency that is where I aspire to be. So that's my best advice for the night, is that, hang around with the winners.
Cool, man. I appreciate it, man. And thanks for the session. Thanks for your time, man. And I know we'll be connecting more, as we go along. Sure, time's almost up, but I see there's a last question here. How do we learn more from Lihle? Any webinars, courses? Hey, Lihle, how can people reach a hold of you if they want to reach you afterwards, yeah?
Awesome. Okay, so we do have courses that we have. You can check out my website on lihlekingoy.com. You can schedule a phone call with me. You can schedule a Zoom meeting with me. I'm very easy to access. I call people. I meet people. You know, because as I said, you know, this is a people's business, right? So you can get me on my website, lihlekingoyi.com. You can go on Google and find it. You can follow me on my page and, you know, send me a DM. We can connect. You know, you can go on my Facebook page. It's Lihle Kingoyi everywhere. So yeah, you know, we're always doing something. We're always working on some projects. We source deals for investors as well. Yeah, you know, yeah,
Now,
I'm
cool.
always looking forward to building strategic relationships with people.
Okay, no, cool, man. I think what I'll do is I'll just add your handle as well when I just post the video. Then anybody that wants to get a hold of you as well can then just reach you through there. I think that'll be good as well. Yeah. Cool stuff, man. No, cool, man.
Awesome,
Thanks.
awesome. Thanks a lot, man. I'll appreciate that.
Yeah, no, cool. Especially on your side. I mean, myself as well. I mean, you know, really what I find important to do is just to get the correct information out there, just so that it can save people, time. Because it's unnecessary, especially for brown people, especially for me, like brown professionals that I engage with, where it's unnecessary in this day and age where we can't move ourselves forward and just focusing on what the advertisers want us to be focused on, which is actually not ending up building wealth for us, but always just forcing us to be consumers. So yeah, man, I appreciate you joining through, and yeah, we'll connect again as soon afterwards, man. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you. Hey, thanks for thinking about me.
Okay, cool, man. Cheers. Have a good one.
Sure, sure. Okay.